Can you hear me now?
Yes.
At the back, last seat. Last benchers. Can't hear me? Okay, is this better? Okay, great. Okay, so my name is Bala and I head HR for Coffee Day Group. And I'd like to thank Dr. Swami and my good friend Maram for inviting me here today. Pleasure to be here. Feels very young, although I'm several decades old. To be back and in campus and school and to talk to youngsters is always a very energizing day. So thanks for the opportunity. I was reflecting on the topic that was given to me. Saying, how do I help transition such high energy students into corporate world? And several speakers just before me said, it's a very tough space and they're going to knock you down and it's going to be competition and all of that. So reflecting on what would interest you, right? Fortunately, Shilpa did the job of waking you all up, so I don't have to wake you up. But since you're all awake, I'm sure you're all keen and excited to know what's going to happen ahead when you go into the corporate world. So I'm going to share with you a few insights on what life would be like. And then I was under this pressure. The second point I was thinking about was under the pressure. Hey, I'm in the middle of media guys and advertising and journalists. How different can my presentation be? Yeah, because we're all, if you make it very dark, they can easily go to sleep. So I said to myself, how do I wake them up, not just to listen to me, but how do I make this presentation interesting? And how do I compete with Dr. Swami and say, hey, I can do a decent marketing pitch, you know? So I've tried something different. I've never had slides like this, very empty slides, but I have about 80 slides, so please don't sleep away. Yeah? Only 80, yeah, I promise you, only 80 and 40 minutes, right? So we'll do 2 slides a minute. Yeah. Okay, so then I was wondering what the topic should be. Well, there was a technical topic which said, how do I transition to the corporate world? It's so personal. Isn't it very personal? Your job, your experience tomorrow in the corporate is not going to be the same as your friend who's sitting next to you. Right? And what you want to do, your friend doesn't want to do. He or she wants to have her own career. Each one of us follow our own passion. Each one of us follow a path that we want to take. Right? So therefore I said, me, myself, is the central point of the discussion today. Am I right? You're so concerned about you and yourself and your tomorrow, right? Guys, wake up. Yes. Okay, so getting your attention, that's all. Okay, so me, myself is my first slide, and let me talk to you about this. We have 80 slides to go, right? So let me rush through each one of them. How do I start owning up my life? Until now, you had the comfort of home. You had the comfort of parents who funded you, sent you here, hoping that one day he or she, son or daughter, would do something great and amazing, and they'll make parents proud. Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility on you. Right? It's been a very structured life all these years, and let me also tell you what I mean by that. It's an all new world, moving from a very structured life to a very unstructured world out there. Structured in terms of your grade 1 to grade 12, 3 years of college, 2 if you continue studying, 2 years of masters. Everything is so very organized. There's a paper, there's a syllabus, there's a way to rate your marks, mark sheet and how to rate it, your question paper, your answer sheets, how to rate them. And there's a way by which colleges function. Right? There's a structure to it. There's a structure to your day. Your time is structured by the college. Right? You have this history paper in the morning, journalism one in the afternoon, and what have you, right? It's all structured. The day is structured for you. Time is structured, content is structured, and then you have the entire evaluation process structured. Right? You get 50 on 100, you get 90 on 100, your friend gets 90 on 100, you get 50 on 100, we don't care. All of us get promoted from 8th to 9th, from 9th to 10th. Right? Come the corporate world. No one is going to give you a time slot saying morning 9 to 10 you have to finish this assignment, evening 4 to 5 you have to finish that assignment, right? There's an overall time management that you have to get into. One big change, if I were to tell you about the corporate world, is to be able to manage your own time. Especially when you do an MBA program, they actually teach you to manage that, because you start doing projects, submission of projects, working in teams and groups. All of that happens in an MBA program. For people who are undergrads, the big thing that I would recommend is, how do you start managing time? Because time helps you build respect and credibility for you. If you promise to deliver a project at 10 a.m. next day morning, you jolly well submit it next day morning at 10 a.m. Because people will start perceiving you as being good or bad, or can do or cannot do, based on how you behave. It's not your 99 on math that you got, but it's your behavior that becomes far more important. And therefore, it's very important for you to observe how you get things done. That's number one. The other element of this unstructured world is, besides time, work. Work is not very structured. You will get an assignment or a KRA or an objective saying, hey, we have to finish this pitch by this time. But what is that pitch all about? Not everything can be articulated. It's your imagination. It's your ability to create. It's your ability to build on a concept. Right? So it starts challenging you to be able to put things together, from abstraction to putting it on slides in black and white, or being able to write a concept note. I know, for example, at Amazon, a good friend of mine is the HR director at Amazon. He tells me that if someone comes up with an idea, they have to write a one-pager press release. You got it? It's a one-page press release you have to write, because that's when you're communicating to the public, hey, this is my product, right? And that has to be very crisp and clean. So you have to write a one-page of press release before you come up with an idea and before it's taken for implementation. And the second step they ask you to do is to write 4 pages of FAQ. How will this really work? Right? So it's very important to understand how you execute on what you attempt to do. So content is a king. At the same time, you have to build your own content for your work. You have to build your own ability to impress upon your seniors and your peers as to why your thought process or your imagination or your ideas is going to make a difference to what you're building. Yeah? So it's very important. Evaluation. We said it was very structured. At work, perceptions matter. Right? It's just not your pitch that you do well to your customer, but perceptions matter. How you've managed your behavior at work, and how you've submitted on time, and the content, all of that put together, the manager has got 10 people reporting to him. He or she is going to start distinguishing performance. Right? It's no more getting 35 and 95 and passing out to the next class, but you will get a C grade and someone else will get an A grade in this appraisal rating, and that guy who's your classmate, who's your neighbor, who will play cricket with you every day, and both of you came to school together, at work, he'll get promoted, and that's the day you're going to find it very difficult. Right? That's the day you're going to find it. I'd like to take a pause here and give you an example of someone at Coffee Day. So we have this whole process of hiring 10 standard pass fail, 12 standard pass fail as our baristas. Right? We have about 8,000, 9,000 baristas across the country. While we are giving them economic freedom and training them and skilling them and putting them on those jobs, there was this kid who was working with us who, over a 3-year period, became a cafe manager. And then one fine morning, he came to office, very, very distraught, very, very unhappy and very depressed and very low. So we got talking to him, and we said, hey, what happened? He said, no, I have a friend of mine. We were classmates all this while, and then I joined because I couldn't afford my education. My parents sent me to work. But this guy went on to do his engineering, and now he's at Wipro, and Wipro has decided to post him overseas. Classmates, same village or town, neighbors, all of that. This kid went to Wipro engineering and went to Wipro and went overseas, and this fellow was making coffee, and while he was earning, because he needed the money and be economically independent at home, he was feeling very bad that he did not pursue his education, and not that he had the opportunity to go overseas. And here comes the twist to the tale. That afternoon, his boss calls him and tells him, you're being posted to Geneva. Yeah? We have a cafe there. Not Geneva. Austria, what's that place? Vienna, that's right. At Vienna, we have 2 cafes, and this kid was sent to Vienna to manage those 2 cafes. Will you be thrilled? Will you be depressed?
Thrilled.
Obviously thrilled, right? So you really don't know whether education really helps you or your work helps you. In this particular case, his work has helped him. He learned skills. We had the trust, the company which has 1,600 stores here in India today, can trust this fellow to go all the way to Vienna and run our 2 stores. Right? So that's how companies judge you. When I said evaluation and which is very different, getting a mathematical rating of 99 on 100 or 70 on 100, vis-a-vis at work, it's very, very different skill sets and competencies that your managers evaluate you on. Yeah? So life becomes far more unstructured from the world of structure. So it's a big change for you guys from being a student to moving on to the corporate world. Another one. From knowing to doing. Right? We have Uncle Google to refer to. Yeah? For everything that we want to know. But can you swim by reading 5 pages on Google? Can you play cricket like Virat does today? 200 in his first test match, not first test match, first 200 in a test match? Right? Or Anand referred to Shah Rukh Khan and Amitabh Bachchan. They all came from very humble beginnings. Right? They didn't know how to act. Or more closer, Priyanka, what? Chopra, that's right, yeah. I know the name, of course. Priyanka Chopra. I mean, breaking all ceilings, going to the US and being on a show, TV show. Yeah. Yeah, there you go, you're watching it, I know. So all of this is not just getting into a Google and Googling and saying, hey, I want to know something. Right? It's moving from knowing to doing. You have to get on the cycle, you have to fall down, and you have to learn to balance, and you have to learn to drive or ride. Right? And Virat Kohli, or who is that, Vishwas, very nicely he said it. Morning 4 o'clock you have to get up, your parents will drop you at a cricket stadium, and you slog your butt off for many, many, many years before he gets into a Ranji team. Or probables, you have to get into the probables and then into the team, and then you have to stay there to deliver every day, and every match is a new match. The chef at Marriott, every dish he does is a new dish. What I've done yesterday is completely forgotten by my boss. Every day is a new day. Right? So you have to get into this whole thing of mastery of your skill. Let's take musicians. You think musicians get done overnight? They get made overnight? Maybe some prodigies, yeah, child prodigy. Otherwise, it's a lot of personal motivation. What makes that musician get up at 5 in the morning and be able to sing, or play an instrument? Right? A passion. There is talent amongst all of us. How do I convert the talent that I have into something that I really pursue as a career? So that's something you guys have to figure out quickly. What is my personal interest? What's my personal passion? When I get to work, what am I going to demonstrate that will interest this company or whichever company that I join? So how do I get into skilling? How do I move from knowing to skilling? So my typical question in interviews, right? As an HR guy, it's easy to ask questions. So, do you know Excel? And the kid will say, yeah, sir, I know Excel. So what, do you know to add up and subtract? Yeah, yes sir, I know that. That's level 1. Can you do pivot table? The next question. Because as interviewers, we peel the onion, right? Do you know pivot table? Some kids say, yes, I know pivot table. Some of them say, no sir, we don't know. What's pivot table? And then if you know pivot table, I'll go one more step and ask you, hey, can you write macros, right? So for everything that you know, or if you, many of you are media and advertising and people from that space, if you come and tell me I know SEO, search engine, there you go. And then if I peel the onion and ask you one step further, if you do not know what that is, I'm going to start judging you and assessing you based on that. It's just not knowing the word. It's so easy in today's world, especially current context. for us to Google and get something, some knowledge, some data points. But that's not insight, and that's not it's not skill. You have to translate all that you know into starting to doing things. More and more of interviews today are around what is it that you can do for me. Organizations do not have the luxury of training you up completely. More than that, they want to see whether amongst 10 people, how competitive you are, how much effort are you taking to skill yourself. Yeah? So is that clear? Can we move on from skill and mastery? Where did I drop mine? We are on slide 3 or 4. Yeah, Dr. Swami is already sleeping. Adapting and I thought I didn't know how to write. When I write, I scribble a lot, but even typing is a mistake, right? Adapting. So reinvent yourself every day. At work, you cannot be sluggish. You cannot say, hey, I've done this before. I know how to go into Amazon, that page, and I know how to design that page, and I know the customers will come tomorrow. Customers are changing every day. As a designer at Amazon, you have to constantly keep doing something different and reinvent yourself. Reinvent yourself is also from one company to another company when you move. The culture, the way your manager managed you will not be the same when you go to the next company. It's very different. People have different styles of working, different ways of approaching a project, and what they coach you and train you on is very, very different. So it's very important that we focus on how you adapt to the situation, to bosses and styles of managers, styles of your leaders, and to work and to customer expectations. Every day it's only more. The bar is being raised. So if you don't reinvent yourself at work, and which is very important, you have to continuously keep looking for something new in terms of ideas, imagination, execution, all of that, which will keep you going and keep you in good stead. Oops. What have I done?
Escape.
I have to reinvent myself. Very weak on technology.
Let's escape.
Escape.
Let's escape.
Escape, run away from the room. Okay. I want to spend a little more time around this subject. Building your brand. Creating your vision for your future. Right? It's so easy to say a life buoy was made, I don't know, over how many years it was built, or a VRL Logistics as a brand that's got built, or a CCD has taken 20 years to be what it is today. Right? There is a Flipkart which is also maybe 10 years old. You can, what's the right word I'm searching for? Reduce the timeline to do something. Right? You can reduce the timeline, but you have to build your own personal brand. I might have taken 30 years to reach where I have reached, but you may reach that in 15 years. Right? That's what I mean. You can reduce your time to reach to the top, but that requires building your own personal brand. Okay, can you tell me what it means to build your brand? All of you are busy in your classes learning about how to build brands, right? Tell me, how do you build your own personal brand? Any guesses? Where do you start? Where do you start on your personal brand? Okay, your work defines you, of course. Work is my life buoy soap, that's delivered, but how do I get there? How do I get to the soap? Ideas, yeah. Ideas, imagination, yeah. Can I deliver on it? On that idea, I have a grand idea, can I deliver it easily? You have to go back and check out what your strengths are. If you're building a brand, Unilever can do it, Nirma will do it something different, right? So go and check out your strengths, strengthen your strengths. Reflect upon your personal ambitions, personal motivations and what drives you, and work on that to strengthen it further. And strengthen your weaknesses as well. Right? It's very important to understand what my gaps are, what are things that I can't do, and if you're ambitious about achieving something, go test, try, fall down, get up and achieve it. As Vishwas said, as Anand said, and several of them have said today, it's a lot of hard work. You don't learn to play a flute overnight. You don't learn to to sing overnight, right? So or not you become an actor or an actress overnight. So there's a future that you are visualizing for yourself, right? How do I build that brand for myself? I think very important, and you get known for it. I spent very little time last night over dinner with Dr. Swami. I've gone back home, and I'm going to test it with his wife now. I went back home, said, hey, this guy is a humorous guy. Is he a humorous guy or not?
Yes.
Perfect, right? Several heads are nodding. I had 2 interactions with him, and both those interactions were humorous. I was not sharp to laugh, but he was humorous. Right? So that's a brand. That's his personal brand, right? So Bala will keep thinking all his life, Swami, it'll be nice to talk to Swami and have a chat with him. It'll be nice and fun and humorous session, right? That's what I've gone back with. One example, I noticed a couple of things, but I'll just stop with that. So it's very important to figure out what your personal brand is. What is it that you want to be known for, especially at work, and especially if you're going to be in the creative world. It's very important. Why is Arnab Goswami Arnab Goswami? The nation wants to know that, right? Why is he what he is, right? So he pumps himself up, I am told he gobbles tablets, he works himself up before he comes onto the stage. He's built a brand for himself. We may agree, disagree, we may partly agree, and there are shades of grey. But at the end of the day, he believes what he is great. Right? So it's very important to figure out what you want to be and work on that. Making an impact. Organizations are looking for people who can make an impact. Yeah, what do I mean by making an impact? We've been there for 20 years serving coffee, creating an experience for you. It's the adda for you. It's the hangout for some. Makeups and breakups, as Vishwas said, happen. Right? Parents bring their kids for them to have conversations so that they can get engaged. A lot of stuff. Today entrepreneurs come and this I must share with you. So I went for the first Starbucks launch in Bangalore. And we were invited for the Starbucks launch, and we went there. Although competition, we talked to each other, yeah. They came and met us for 5 solid years and to learn what's happening in India around coffee. So finally they put up their first store in Bangalore, and we went there. So we went around, most of you would have gone, this is the store in Koramangala, right, opposite Rahejas. So we went in, very crowded, long queue, we stood in the queue, went inside. The F&B manager was a coffee day guy. So we went inside, first floor, ground floor, walked around, had a couple of drinks inside, tasted rather, a couple of beverages, I shouldn't say drinks, a couple of beverages. And while coming out, I was very curious. So I went to this fellow and said, hey, where's your office? Is Bangalore the regional headquarters or Chennai? Where in the south are you going to have an office? And that fellow said, sir, we don't have an office. The first store in the south is in Bangalore. Until yesterday we were operating out of CCD. From today we are going to work here at Starbucks. Starbucks worked out of CCD, right? So there are these millions of entrepreneurs who work out of our stores and millions of recruiters who recruit every day. So to be able to reinvent that, a CCD which is 20 years old is still, if you go talk to Siddharth, he'll say, I am a startup. Because we want to be agile, we want to be customer focused, we want to be delivering what tomorrow's generation wants. How am I relevant to my customer is a question that we keep asking every day at work. Am I relevant? Am I relevant? Am I relevant to the audience? Right? So to reinvent yourself and to be able to be something of value so that customers come back, you have to be very imaginative and come up with ideas. So we recently came up with the delivery idea where we will deliver coffee for you at home or any of our range of foods. We experimented in Bangalore in 50 stores, and now we are going to take it to Bombay and Delhi and all other cities. So we're moving on to home delivery as well. Yeah. So we're looking for that person. The person who came up with that idea was a person from IIM Indore who joined us and said, hey, why don't we try this out? Right? So your performance is all about your imagination and converting that imagination into executing it and getting things done. Right? End of the day. That keeps you going. So making an impact is very critical in your career, helps you build your own personal brand, and therefore headhunters call you and say, hey, company A is looking for someone, would you be keen to look at that job? Right? So it's very important to keep reinventing yourself and making an impact. My champion, I think Vishwas mentioned it, dad and mom. It's very, very critical to have a champion in your career. Someone whom you can go to and talk about what you're doing at work. Right? To be able to reflect upon it every day by yourself. But a coach, right? Why does India team need a coach with Virat and Dhoni at the top? But they still need a coach. Why do all those football teams need a coach? Right? So we all need a coach. We all need someone who is looking at us and giving us tips on how we can do better. So you need to find a champion who will champion your cause. It's very important to figure out who is your well-wisher. Even at work, even at work, you need to find out who is your promoter, who is your well-wisher, who will give me genuine, honest, authentic feedback. Because that's very important as you go along in your life. Yeah? So learn, unlearn, and then learn again, right? Because you have to keep on reinventing yourself. So that's very important for me, especially from an HR perspective when the world is changing so much. If I don't unlearn all my old habits and learn new habits,
10 minutes.
yeah, to learn new habits is very, very difficult, right? And therefore, typical examples you can take is sports people. To be able to play a cricket match, which is 5-day format, and to do a 1-day format, to do a 20-over format, to play in an IPL format, there are people who succeed. There are people who adapt, right? So that's an example that you can easily relate to. Find someone who can help you learn and unlearn and relearn something, and therefore it helps you grow in your career. So we talked a lot about work. Life is just not work, right? It's work, life, and play as well. So life is all about health. To be at the top and to stay at the top and to continue to be a Virat, he has to get up every morning and go practice. He cannot say I hit a 200 yesterday and not do practice tomorrow morning. Right? To stay fit, especially in today's world where there's so much pressure of work, there's so much pressure at work, it's so important to keep your fitness high. What you eat, what you drink, what exercises do you do, all of that is becoming very, very critical. It's so important to be healthy, to reach the top and to do well at work. It keeps you motivated, energized, that run in the morning or that game of squash in the evening. All of that helps you to be alive. Interests. Don't be too romantic about work. Right? Sometimes work becomes a contract of employment and then you do your job and get back. But we have our own passions to chase. So what are your interests? If you do not have a hobby and one day you have a tough time at work, how do you bounce back? You have to go back and play the flute and chill and relax, or watch a movie if that is your passion, or read a book, first page to last page. Right? So it's very important for you to have an interest, a very deep interest, not a cursory interest. So to stay fit and to have a deep interest keeps you going. Yeah, are you with me? Yes, yeah? Okay, great. Slide number? 79. I had 8 slides, guys. I had only 8 slides, not 80 slides. Yeah? They're very happy that it is over. Yeah, so I hope I made some sense. Thank you so much for the audience and thank you for being patient.
Thank you, sir. It was an amazing session, and I am sure nobody slept. Yes? Okay. Now the floor is open for questions. Yes. Okay, you can talk.
So, my question was,
Yeah. survive by being a loner. Today's world has become very collaborative world. My dad went to one company all his 30 years of his career. I worked in 6 companies. Yeah, 6 companies, right? So today's world has become very collaborative. Even competition collaborates today. So if you say that, hey, I'm a loner, I'm going to go and do my job, come back home and not talk to anyone, I think it's a little tough. Especially if you have ambitions of growing in the organization. First few years, you're pretty much doing all by yourself. You know, learning by doing, number one, and it's all what's that called? We call it individual contributors, right? But very soon you start managing a team, and to manage a team in today's world, while we can use WhatsApp and communicate with them, it's very important to connect with them, right? And that emotional connection and bonding helps people learn a lot from each other and work together as a team. So it's difficult to be not social. If you mean social is going for a party every night till 3 o'clock in the morning and getting drunk and not able to go to work next day morning, that's different. I've seen Koreans and Japanese do that. They finish at 4 in the morning but still come to work next day morning. Yeah, they're very professional about coming to work. So I hope I answered your question in some manner. No, I do have very deep friends. In fact, some of the other things that you can, while at work you can do, is to find interest groups. I'm part of the HR network in Bangalore, and therefore I meet with 10 other or 100 other HR directors of Bangalore. Right? So you can have your own interest groups. But it need not always be work. I'm part of a photography team. We go for a 15-day Leh Ladakh trip and come back with pictures, and that keeps us going as well, right? So it could be work, it could be professional network, and they help you to learn what the others are doing, right? So, yeah. Yes, please.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Harsh. BA Journalism, second year. So, how difficult it is for you to try new things and work out of the box at this position?
I keep changing my job every 5-6 years. Seriously, right? I don't think I could have been like my dad and retired in one company. That keeps it helps me be on my toes, right? Because I get new challenges, new environment, new businesses, and I've never gone to the same industry. Every time I've changed industry. Personally, for me, that has helped. But to think out of the box and to see things outside the box. The only thing is to challenge yourself, and the team also, if you have a very challenging team with your peer group, and the organization is in a growth mode, and therefore you have to deliver a lot more, right? So, push yourself to the limit, and challenge yourself. That's the thing, Imagination, as I said earlier, I don't want to repeat that. Can I give you some examples? Yeah. Okay. So within GE, I moved from India to Paris. I reached there on November 24th or 25th. Seldom did I know that Paris will be so dark and dingy, and it will be snowing. And then when I ride my car on the with the left hand, not the right side wheel, but the left side wheel, it's all new, completely new, right? So you challenge yourself in new environments, new situations. It pushes you hard. And then 3 years later, when everyone in GE goes to the US, they call me and tell me go to Tokyo. Never ever thought of it. In fact, I take the atlas and tell my kids where Tokyo was and how do we reach there. Right? So some of these very abrupt shifts help you stay alive. But not all of us get those abrupt shifts, right? So many of us continue where we are and what we do and do more of it. But Kabali is a great example, right? How he pushes himself, being an actor or be cool, right? So it's just your own personal passion and interest will generate that out-of-box thought process and be able to do something different than you. Yeah, I'm not sure if I fully answered you, but that's my take.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we're done. Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity again.
Thank you, sir. So every day in the corporate is a new challenge. Every day it is required for you to prove yourself and you're as good as your last job. So with that note, thank you, Balachander. Thank you so much for throwing insights and offering more perspectives into this. Thank you all.
It was indeed a very knowledgeable and a gripping session, sir, for all of us. The students over here transition to the corporate world with the mastery of their, skills, personal motivation, adapting and reinventing, building their brand. Indeed, they will be very successful and leading a very successful path. Thank you so much. I now request Dr. Maram to hand over the memento to Mr. Balachander. I now request Ms. Diane Slade to give away a token of appreciation to Ms. Shilpa Kalyan. Thank you, ma'am. Now we have a tea break. A tea will be served in the adjacent room. The next session starts after 10 minutes. Participants and delegates, please note